Mr. Briscoe, what do you think?
Got another one, huh?
You know what? I saw the white on the tail, so we got a walleye here. Thought for a minute it was a pike just the way it hit, eh? And it was doing that little underwater dance.
That's a nicer fish.
You want to know something? These are strong fish in here.
Yeah.
You know that? Real strong fish in here, and I don't want him to break that fire line, which I don't think he's gonna do. You know what? Today I'm doing something entirely different. I'm not only fishing with a great guide. I've got Bill Briscoe here. He's the manager, he's the head guide of the Old Post, just south of Pickle Lake.
Yeah.
And this guy is the #1 cook in the north when it comes to shore lunches, so stick with us. But I'm gonna let this guy go.
Sure.
That okay?
Yep.
Nice walleye, Bill.
Beauty.
I'm going fishing all the time, and my baby's going fishing too. Bet your life that your sweet wife can catch more fish than you. Any fish will bite if you got the right bait. Now here's a little something that I'd like to relate. With my pole and my line, I'm going fishing. Yes, I'm going fishing. My baby's going fishing too.
Going Fishing with Darryl Choronzey is brought to you in part by Yamaha, Abu Garcia, Montana's Cookhouse, and Berkeley. Closed captioning for Going Fishing is brought to you by Rapala, the makers of Canada's favorite fillet knives. Moving water attracts walleye. With that in mind, Darryl Choronzey and guide Bill Briscoe of Old Post and Village Lodge have pushed off this morning in search of a small river called Thelma that flows into Lake St. Joseph. Now, sitting around the dinner table the night before, the boys had overheard a few other guides mention that good numbers of walleye had taken up feeding positions below the fast-moving rapids in the upper Thelma, while other fish had positioned themselves downstream where the current was slower but deeper holding and feeding water was available for the fin predators. It's first light, and while every other angler staying at the Old Post are still sitting down at the breakfast table, the boys are on the water and looking forward to the excitement of another type of morning bite. Stay with us as Choronzey and Briscoe seek out the walleye of the Thelma River.
Bill, I'll tell you what, yesterday we fished the main lake, right?
Yep.
And, okay, the lane, the main lake, it's wide and it's long, and it's got a lot of table space for these fish to grow on. But there's something about coming in off of waterfalls like this, right? And even though the fish are smaller, for the most part, river fish are a little smaller.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. Like, these guys will dine in here and maybe in a year drop out to the main lake and not come back to feed in here.
Yep.
But, when you can catch fish like that, right? I mean, they're typical river walleye. They're 16 to 20 inches, 16 to 22.
Yep.
Now, you still may get a 24 in here.
For sure, yeah.
But there's something about coming in, finding a little, almost like an inlet like this with a little waterfalls, and you can catch a fish almost every cast.
That's for sure, yeah.
Paradise in the north. Bill, I'm going to tell you, 3 casts, 3 fish. What's the name of this falls?
Thelma River.
The Thelma. And we come in through Lost Lake, right?
Yep.
It's sure pretty, I'll tell you.
There's a nice fish.
Yeah, it is not a bad fish for a river fish, eh? Not a bad fish for a river fish. I've got him wrapped a little.
There we go.
Now, is this average in here?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, will you see your 20 pluses in this river system?
It'll happen, yep.
Okay. That'd be a shore lunch, though.
That'd be shore lunch, yep.
And what's the name of this river?
Thelma.
This would be a Thelma River shore lunch if we were going to keep them.
You got it.
Bill, you want to know something? This plastic never even hit the water, and the walleye was out of the water after it.
Yeah.
They're aggressive little guys in here.
Sitting almost on shore.
Well, it's just amazing. Like, you can find these picturesque spots. And again, I don't expect really to catch a big walleye in here, but you can catch decent walleye in these areas,
sure,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's more just to get away, see what God makes at its best, Great place for a shore lunch plate.
Oh, excellent, yeah.
And when the wind's blowing out in the lake, there's not a better place to do than get in out of the wind.
Yep.
Here we go
There's
again,
another
Bill.
one.
Yeah. You know how fast this is? Like, this is every cast, eh?
Yeah. Before it even hits the bottom.
You could come in here, Bill, and you could probably take, I'll bet you could catch 500 walleye in a spot like this. This is a little better,
That's
eh?
a little nicer.
Eh? Yeah, nice fish. Nice fish. But it's an out-of-the-way, boy, he really took it deep, too. It's an out-of-the-way spot. Not as deep as what I thought, Bill, you know? He just liked that power bait. Now, that's an average size in here.
Yep.
You know?
Perfect for lunch.
Perfect for lunch.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Are we gonna keep him for lunch?
Let's keep that one, yeah.
I'll let you keep him for lunch.
All right.
And you gotta know something. This guy is not only a great guide, he's the best cook in the north, so stay with us. I'm building you up. I got a tip for this, eh? There we go, Bill. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna say this just once, right? No, maybe I've already said it 3 times. This is paradise, it really is. And again, we can go out in the big lake, you know, and we've done this. We went out yesterday, we probably caught 200 walleye on the big lake. But I like the waterfalls behind me, and I like the pines and the firs and everything else around us.
Yeah.
You know, I just had a fish come up underneath that. Did you see it?
Chase them up?
Yeah. Now, these could be all twins, identicals, you know, to what you've got down there. You could come into this waters like this, and you can, you know, probably catch 100 walleye like this, and they won't vary an inch difference in size.
I'm sure you could, yeah.
You know? Bill, I said I wouldn't say it again, but this really is paradise.
Sure is.
The solitude, nobody around. Bill, it's non-stop.
Yeah, every cast.
It's non-stop. You know, and this is a little better, Bill. A little better. Come on, Mr. Walleye. You know, Bill, this is a little different from the lake, too, because these fish are getting a lot of oxygen coming down out of this stream.
Yeah.
Now, is that going in the frying pan?
I think we'll keep that one, yeah.
You want to keep that one?
I think so, yeah.
There you go,
There,
Captain.
I'll take it.
You take care of him.
Thank you.
No problem. Hey, Bill, you see the waterfalls over there?
Yep.
I says, I'm going to make a long cast of the waterfalls, right? And it wasn't a real long cast. It was about 20 yards. But you know what happened within 20 yards? A walleye hit it as soon as it hit the water. I'm telling you, you just can't believe the number of fish in here, Bill. You know, you could sit on, where were you thinking about shore lunch earlier?
Down the river a little ways.
Down the river a little ways. You know, I'll bet you right now, I could sit on that rock, right?
Yep.
And just cast off there all day.
I'm sure you could, yeah.
And catch walleye like this all day. Eh?
Yeah.
Nice?
Nice.
Dandy?
Lunch.
Dandy?
Yeah. Dandy.
Lunch. You kept saying lunch. I'm supposed to be the fish hog. What we're allowed is 4 walleye in here, so Bill's going to catch 4, right? Well, we're not going to eat 8 walleye anyways.
No.
But you're allowed 4 walleye each, 1 over 18 inches. Am I right?
No, the camp rule is none over 18.
But the government says 1 over 18.
Government says 1
right?
over, yeah.
And so the government says you can keep 1 over 18, 3 under 18, but the old posts, nothing's kept over 18 inches, and it is a great conservation policy.
I think so too, yeah.
There you go, buddy.
I'll take that.
He's yours. I'm gonna make one more cast up here.
Sure.
And now, the campfire comment.
You know what, guys? You know what's actually better than catching fish? Eating the odd fish.
And you eat your share.
Come off it now.
Take a look at you.
Hey, come on, now listen. I always say that when you eat fish, you stay slim, right? And you get smart, you know? And I've got a little problem. When we do the shows, people see us eating fish and they're going, oh my God, there he is, he's eating fish again. We've never caught and kept over our limit. We've never really eaten. If we take 6 guys out in the boat, we've never eaten 6 limits, right? But I think honestly that if you eat fish, you worry about the water the fish is living in. Okay, now think of this. You're a bass angler and you're catching the fish, you're weighing the fish in, you're releasing the fish, right? A pro bass guy. Well, I can raise a bass in a sewer. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna eat the fish, but if I'm eating the fish, I'm worried that the water is not a sewer. You know what I mean? And I think the other thing is if we eat fish, we're getting smart, we're getting thin, we're improving the environment. I think if we release everything, you know what's gonna happen? Pam and her buddies over at PETA, right? They're gonna start saying you're being cruel to those fish. And I'm not kidding you. PETA or PETA or whatever they wanna call them, they're targeting the pro bass tournaments in the States, right? if we can go out there and say, hey, we're eating the odd fish, we're staying thin, we're staying smart, but we're worried about the environment, then Peter, Petter, whatever you want to call them, they got no reason to pick on us. Eat a fish, buddy.
Stay in shape just like you, right, Franz?
Go for it.
Going Fishing returns in a moment.
You know what, Bill? Change the name of this darn river. Don't call it Thelma. Call it Thousand Walleye. There's so many fish. I'll tell you what. There are so many walleye that I don't want to fish here anymore. It gets to the point where it isn't fun to catch this many fish.
Yeah.
You know? And that's hard to say, but it's the honest truth. You know?
Yep.
We've caught, I would say, 30 fish like this
For
so
sure,
far.
yeah.
And we haven't
at
been here
least.
more than, I'd say 20 minutes,
Yep.
20, 25 minutes. Bill said, come on, let's go up and look at the waterfalls in Thelma. I said, oh, waterfalls, let's go catch fish. But I don't want to catch fish cast after cast after cast. But if you can find these little rivers and you've got oxygen coming down in the form of those rapids, right? You are going to catch walleye cast after cast after
Yep.
cast.
No doubt about it.
We don't need this guy, I'm going to let him
I
go.
don't think so, no.
But this is pretty. So what else you got for me?
Well, let's move down the river here, try a couple of spots, see if we can get some bigger fish.
You said to me this morning, look, let's just check the river out close to the lodge, right? Mm-hmm. This is the first spot,
Yep.
right?
That worked
Bang,
pretty
bang,
well.
bang, bang, bang. We're gonna just go and fish the river now?
Yep.
Okay, hey, I like it where there's no people.
Yeah.
You know, I just
Yeah.
love it.
It's nice.
When you come up north, you want solitude, you want the scenery, and you want great fishing, and we've got it all
You're
here.
gonna get it here, yep.
Let's go for it, pal. John Grace, you know, I just talked to your wife a second ago, and I called her the queen of the manor, right? I guess I can call you the king of the castle.
Indeed, it is.
Or the brains of the organization. How's
No, not necessarily.
that? Let me say a couple things first. I've been to very, very few places where the walleye fishing can even, you know, come close to comparing with what you've got in Lake St. Joseph. And you've got a fabulous northern pike population. You've got a lake that's, what, 90 miles long?
And 20 miles wide in spots.
Now, John, when did they open, actually, the original Hudson's Bay post here?
They started building it in 1780, opened July 16, 1786.
I noticed
over
that
200 years ago.
You've got an old church back here that
Yes.
I guess the factor used and the local natives used.
Yeah, it's the High Anglican Church of England that was established here in about 1840, 1850.
And you got a graveyard back there.
Graveyard. Supposedly there's about 700 or 800 people that are buried there.
Like I come into a camp like this and you're in the middle of the wilderness, right? It's an ex-Hudson's Bay post, right? And yet you've still got one of the best fleets of boats and motors I've seen, you know?
Yeah, no, we have a very up-to-date camp. Even with the boats and motors, we're running all 4-stroke Yamahas, right from 30 to 60. You can even look at the water system that we have here at camp as state-of-the-art.
So when you come up here, you're not only getting the best fishing of a lifetime, you're getting the best boats and motors, you're getting great accommodations. So don't be afraid to get up here to the old post. How far are we south of Pickle Lake?
We're about 30 miles south of Pickle Lake.
If you get a chance, get up to the old post in the village. It's the opportunity of a lifetime.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Darryl.
you very much.
Thanks a lot.
You got one, Bill?
Yep, right here, right by the side of the boat.
You know what? This is a little different, right? We got away from the faster water. We're here now. We're down where the river's widening up. But look at the size of the walleye.
Yeah,
You know,
a lot nicer.
they're
Yeah,
nicer fish, eh?
yeah, that's a good.
And that's usually the case. You know, I'm not saying you don't get large fish at the waterfalls, but you get a lot of juveniles. You get a lot of frying pan fish. That's not a frying pan fish.
No, he's over.
You know, but as soon as we get into this, you know, the wider expanse of the river going down to the lake, the water slows down and the fish size goes up.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, I still like the waterfalls and I like that cast after cast.
Nice
fish
scenery,
after fish.
too.
It is real nice scenery. This whole area is nice, Bill. Bill Briscoe. Now listen, Bill, you said put your jig over the side, right?
Yep.
While I drift down this little narrows. And again, you're looking at that fish finder, right?
Yep.
And you're seeing fish like this. Eh?
Yep, we hit a little hole there, and
Dandy little hole. But again, I think if you keep your jig in the water a lot more, you're going to catch a lot more fish. That's
think
only
so.
common sense. But there's places, like if you come down this river, you know, the ordinary guy coming down this river is not going to think that there's holes between that island and that gap.
Yep, for sure.
So what we've got down here is we come in out of the lake, You wanted to go to the waterfalls, right?
Yep.
And you've got a couple narrows, but you've got to think, where you've got narrows, you've got some current, and it's dug this channel out.
Sure has.
Water went from 4 feet on that side to 4 feet on that side, but 7.5, 8 feet right here.
Yep.
And that's where you catch these little things. You got another one there?
Yeah, another nice one.
You want to know something? Why am I letting the guide fish?
I don't know. I should just sit on the motor.
And again, if you don't have a fish finder in here, you're not going to catch fish.
No, you got to find the holes.
Yeah, we're actually back trolling and drifting down this river, and you'll go from 4 feet to 7 and 8 feet, and if you don't have the fish finder to find that 7 and 8 foot drop-offs, you're not going to catch the walleye.
Yeah.
And that's a nice fish.
Very nice.
You know?
I'll put him back.
Now, does this whole plain flood in the spring?
Yeah. A lot of times our water level goes up in the springtime and this all floods out.
Uh-huh.
Cools the temperature off and holds the fish in here.
And again, we should one more time stress this fact. You're going to find the waterfalls, you're going to find the rapids. At the bottom of the waterfalls, the bottom of the rapids, you're usually going to find the walleye. And again, it was cast after cast, fish after fish. I think I took 30 fish and 45 casts, something like that.
Yeah.
But the chances of catching walleye like Bill just got at the waterfalls are a lot less. You know, you're going to catch a lot more walleye, but you're going to catch your bigger fish down here in these holes. But again, you need that fish finder. You need lighter jigs because you've got some shallower water.
Yeah.
And you got to fish hard.
Yeah.
Well, really, I can't say that. You don't have to fish hard up here, that's for sure.
Just get the line in the water.
Bill. You know, hey, I guess I can yell now, eh? We're not around that solitude waterfalls where you want to be quiet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if this is a walleye, this is a pretty decent walleye, you know that?
He's a nice one.
He's strong, like he's real strong. Bill, how many people come in to your camp? Ooh, it is a nice walleye, eh? How many people come into your camp, Bill, with the wrong gear?
Quite a few.
Like that is a nice walleye.
Beauty. Quite a few. We end up with a lot of guys who have too heavy a gear for what we're doing.
That's a nice fish, buddy.
Beautiful fish, yeah.
I'm just gonna let him go. I'm gonna give him the over-the-side dunk. Now, when I come up north, I'm probably like a lot of your customers. I'll come up here and I'll bring too much tackle. I go into the bush with too much tackle.
Yep.
You can come up into the north with approximately 100 grub bodies, whether they're twister tails or whether they're power baits, right?
Sure.
You can come up into the north with half a dozen MEP spinners. You can come into the north with some heavy spoons like Williams, right?
Yep.
And that's all you really need.
That really is, yeah.
You know, I see some of the outfitters sometimes and they're picking up their customers, and there's their customers with 1 sleeping bag and 18 tackle boxes.
Yes,
you
sir.
know,
Yeah.
They didn't bring their food, they didn't bring all the necessities, but they brought way too much fishing tackle.
Yeah.
And again, spinners, grubs, and spoons, that's all you need for walleye and pike up here.
Yeah, that's it.
Bill, I'll tell you what, you've got a job in paradise.
I really do, don't I?
You know, and you've been doing it for how long?
12 years.
How old were you when you started at the Old Post?
Just barely 15.
And that's something. You kids out there, if you want a good summer job, and this is the honest truth, if you want a great summer job where you can make a lot of money at the right outfitters, get into guiding. Now, you don't just start as a guide. You're the dock boy or you're washing dishes the first year.
Yep.
But you can make a lot of money. You got no place to spend your money anyways.
That's right. Can't get out.
Get me back over to that 7 feet of water.
You got
Thank
it.
you.
And now for the Montana's Cookhouse tip of the week. Even when fishing moving water, a quality fish finder is a necessity and not an option for locating holding fish.
Bill, I'll tell you something. And I know as a guide, you really don't like the super lines, right?
I prefer not, yeah.
Bill has more than a little problem sometimes when you get 2 or 3 guys with the new braids. They tangle and they snag bottom and they don't break off. So
Yeah.
it slows your action down, right?
Yep.
Plus, if you get some of these fire lines around your prop, that's going to hurt too.
Oh, there's a nice one.
But you want to know something? I really like the fire lines because with the fire lines, I can pick the fish out of the water most of the time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm afraid to do that with the monos, Bill, because I just don't think I've got the abrasion power with mono when you get a walleye's teeth.
Very
like,
true, yeah.
you know, look at the teeth on this thing. They're razor sharp, you know, and that'll frame on a filament so quick. That's a nice fish, Bill.
Beauty fish, yeah.
Listen, I got to thank you people for having me up here.
Oh, no problem at all.
This area is just south of Pickle Lake.
Yep.
Right? Couple hours drive from Toronto.
Yeah, a couple hours, yeah.
A couple long hours. But I mean, it's worth making the trip up here because you're going to get fish like this until your arms fall off.
You really will.
You know, and you're going to get a great cook. because as soon as I put this fish back in the water, he's gonna start up the campfire and we're gonna eat. Nice, eh?
Beauty.
That's a dandy.
Going fishing returns with the Napoleon Barbecue's Shore Lunch.
So Bill, you're gonna do shore lunch?
Yep.
Now, besides being the manager and the head guide at the Old Post Village, right?
Yep.
You're also one hell of a cook.
Oh, I like to think so.
Well, you don't have to think so, you are. Now, you went to school where?
The Stratford Chef School.
Now, yesterday you said to me, what do you want for shore lunch, you know?
Yeah.
And I says, well, why not the same as today?
Yeah.
You know, so I thought we were gonna have the same shore lunch as yesterday, but you're changing it around a
I'm
little.
gonna switch it up a little.
Let me just point a couple things out. You've got onions, you've got red and green peppers, and you got mushrooms, right?
Yep.
And I see you got wild rice.
Some wild rice, and we're gonna add that to the mushrooms and peppers and onions.
Okay, and you're gonna fry it up.
Yep.
Now, before we go any farther, the wild rice is around here everywhere, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I know you're buying them off some of the native communities, right? What do you do to prepare the wild rice so that you can bring it to the fire?
Before we go on the lake, I'll boil that in about 2 to 1 water for half an hour, 45 minutes. A lot of rice will take a little longer until it opens up like it has there,
Okay.
and then it's good to go.
Today, we're using your mix. What have you
Yes.
got in it?
It's 2 parts pancake flour to 1 part cornflake crumbs, and there's some paprika in there and steak spice and garlic.
Okay, now the pancake flour is in there for one reason. What's it got, yeast in
It's
it?
got yeast in it, and it's a little sweeter.
And it keeps it
Yeah.
nice and flaky. Listen, Bill, take the coater, shake up the fish, and let's eat.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Bill, I gotta say thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for a great day on the water, right? And thanks for a great meal. Now, before we go any farther, right? I've got the wild rice, I got mushrooms, I got red and green peppers, I got corn, right?
Yep.
And then I've got 3 magnificent walleye fillets.
Right.
I'm just gonna try the wild rice first, and this is local wild rice, right?
Yep. How's that?
Now, you saw me use the fork, right, for
Yeah,
my wild rice.
yeah.
But when it comes to fish, it's finger licking good. I'll use my fingers. Oh, buddy, that is absolutely phenomenal.
Right on.
After we eat, we are gonna go back out fishing, right?
Yep.
And listen, if you get the chance, please don't pass up the opportunity to visit the Old Post and Village. It's 25 miles south of Pickle Lake, a little farther north of Ignis, Ontario, right? But it's fishing, it's the experience of a lifetime. See you next week. We're gonna eat, we're going fishing.
All right.
Need some more fish, buddy?
For more information on today's fishing location and other going fishing destinations, visit www.goingfishingtv.com. Going Fishing with Darryl Choronzey has been brought to you in part by Yamaha, Abu Garcia, Montana's Cookhouse, and Berkeley.
Going fishing.
Going Fishing would like to thank the following fine sponsors.
Baby smiling my way